Hello, I am Stephanie Locke, and this is a review of my ePortfolio. When you look through the list of activities on my activity form, you will see that there are a lot of secondary activities, and that is because I knew from the beginning that I was not built to be an elementary principal, and that secondary was really where I wanted to be. And so I'd like to go through my highlighted activities that I have on here. And so if we start with the district level, this first one, reviewing some online curriculum, there is a company that's called Graduation Alliance that produces online curriculum. However, it is not approved for the state of Kansas yet. And so they contacted our school district and we reviewed their curriculum to ensure that it was meeting with the standards. And so I've learned a lot about just going through a process of sitting down and going through all of those different curriculums. Next, I plan community service days for our school. And for this particular situation, for community service day, I engage with a lot of different community members, whether they be elected, like our mayor, or whether they're just community members in general. They essentially become partners with us and give us projects that we can do with them in the afternoon. And so community service day has been a lot of fun to plan. This particular activity has a little bit of a backstory. In August of 2018, our school board told us that we were going to put a bond issue out. And so we really advocated for it. We pushed as much as we could to get the bond issue passed, but unfortunately it did not. And so after that bond issue did not pass, our school board informed everyone that they were going to have to look at essentially closing a building. And so this community meeting in January of 2019 was one where our community came into the school and were given the opportunity to ask school board members, and even ask teachers and principals and our principal what we thought about it and everything like that. And so this one really taught me about how to advocate for your school. First, trying to pass the bond issue, just encouraging people to vote. That's one way to advocate. And then when it came to this meeting, just seeing the concern in a lot of parents' faces really told me and taught me why advocating for your school is essential. This is dealing with the school board meeting where they actually officially closed a building. And seeing the steps and the process and all the legal issues that are required to be done before a building actually closed was very beneficial to me. And everything that I experienced financially with our school district in 2018, 2019 was actually really eye-opening. And so understanding that you can't just say, okay, we're going to close a building. That's not how it happens. You have to go through all these steps. And so I included this particular school board meeting because it was the one where they officially decided to close the Bushton School. And this, as I think about that meeting, it was very tense. The individuals from the community of Bushton were very upset, rightfully so. You were losing your school. And so it was definitely one that taught me that if I am in a situation like that and I'm a building leader, I have to ensure that all of the policies and everything that's legally there has to be followed. And so here I have hyperlinked the meeting agenda for June, as well as the registration of people present. This activity what ties to my community service day, this communication about community service day. We have stepped up our social media presence as a school. And so with Facebook, I created flyers that went up around town. And this is an example of communication in the school with the staff members that I was going to use as essentially project leaders. And communication is vital in being an effective communicator. If you cannot do that, if I didn't do that with Community Service Day, it was not going to go off the way it did. And Community Service Day went off very smooth in the fall. we turn to my elementary activities, some of these actually have been very recent, like this one here. I have essentially become Google Classroom tech support for our teachers, and because I've used Google Classroom for, I believe, 6 years now. I didn't use it my first year teaching, but I did start to use it after that. And so with Google Classroom in particular, a lot of our elementary teachers had not used it before. And I've worked a lot with our 6th grade teacher on getting her classroom set up. And so here's what classrooms would look like. This is a screenshot of mine, and this is another screenshot of my animal science and how it's organized. This is one of the key things for the 6th grade teacher, was trying to help her be organized and stay organized so that the math stuff wasn't getting tossed into the reading stuff and so on and so on. And so that has been actually kind of fun to kind of help improve and include more technology and all of that. Managing disruptive elementary students. When my previous principal would be gone, I and one other teacher would be asked to be the ones in charge. And when elementary students were not behaving as they should, I would be asked to go and help with that problem. And so with this one in particular, I'm talking about a student who was disrupting a PE class. And so I believe that I model ethical practice in this situation, because when it comes to handling students, you have to be ethical and you have to essentially model that. And I was able to calm that student down, and we kind of resolved our issue. PALS stands for Partners in Active Learning Support. It's a program that was started by National FFA, and I took it and kind of turned it into a Big Brother, Big Sister program for our school. I had the elementary teachers identify students in their classes that they believed needed that type of role model. I then had my high school students apply to be a PAL. And so we did a lot of different activities through the year. We did a lot of reading because a lot of the students in PALs were at a lower reading level than their grade level. And so we did a lot of reading. We did crafts, and we did things that would help build the younger kids' self-esteem, and to help give them an outlet and make school feel nurturing and inclusive. This is PALS again, but this is particularly planning PALS. When I was planning the PALS program and taking it from what the National FFA organization had and turning it into what was going to work and most benefit our kids, it did take me a lot of pre-planning, getting with teachers, finding those resources that were going to be needed. And it wasn't always academic. Sometimes there was some non-academic stuff where we were just eating lunch, where I had the pals go and eat lunch with our students, and that kind of stuff. This right here is a link to the Google Sheet where I sat down with the teachers and with the counselor and said, okay, I know the personality of my high school kids. I need you to help me match them to the elementary kids. And so here's our spreadsheet for our matches. And so PALS is a really great program, and I really do think it should be implemented in more schools. This activity I titled Community Engagement Online. We've really vamped up and ramped up our social media presence, and just as a way to give parents another option to see what's going on in our school. And when it comes to communication in particular, there is a generation of parents that are starting to come out where Facebook is how they communicate. And so with not having a Facebook presence, that form of communication wasn't going to happen. So here's a screenshot of a couple examples of what I personally have posted onto our school Facebook page. We also have Instagram. Doesn't have as much of a presence. It's really more Facebook, because it seems like a lot of the parents, especially the younger parents, that's where they seem to go. This one, copyright discussion and distance learning. This one, again, kind of goes back to the Google Classroom. We had to change with COVID-19, and so copyright was a discussion that I was having with a lot of the teachers because we are taking materials and putting them online. And so we have to ensure that we're following the copyright laws. Finally, I had the opportunity to observe in a PE class, third and fourth grade, are combined together into a PE class. And so being able to see different teaching other than what I am used to was very beneficial, especially at the elementary level. It wasn't something that I'm used to. And so I linked the PDF of the observation form to this. And so finally, with secondary activities, if we can get it up, here we go. We had students come in who were ELL, and we had not experienced that yet, and they were very limited on their English. And so I took it upon myself to research how to essentially help them and make sure that we are doing everything that we should be doing for them. And so I have links to the resources that I ended up using. Differentiating curriculum is crucial for all students, especially those on IEPs, to ensure that those are being followed. And so one example I have here, I have all of my students give a speech when they are freshmen. And so this particular differentiation comes from a student not being able to write a manuscript. So we took it from a manuscript to a presentation, and that was how he was going to show us what he had learned. I was able to plan what I called Student Professional Development Day, which was really kind of more like a life skills day, and planning all of that, having the kids rotate through and coming up with that. That's a hyperlink to my notes that I did for the Student Professional Development Day, which was a lot of fun. I'm hoping to be able to do it again. This is tied to the elementary one. I have been helping a lot of the high school teachers with their Google Classrooms as well since this has happened, setting it up, organizing it, scheduling posts, grading on Google Classroom, a lot of it. I call myself Google Classroom tech support right now. Grant applications, I have filled out tons of grant applications. Yes, they are just for my department, but it's a way to advocate for my particular department. I can take that I have learned about advocating for myself to advocating for the community. And so going through grant applications is one awesome way. These IEP meetings, I do not have any of the actual confidential stuff on here. This student had behavior problems, had made threats, and what set everything in motion and over the edge was he had made a threat against himself. And so seeing the process that you have to go through when it comes to this particular situation with threats on the school, threats to the student, and it taught me that you have to ensure that the process is equitable. You have, even though you could be so upset with that student and what they had done or what they had threatened to do, you still have to ensure that it's equitable and that it's fair. Again, copyright and remote education. We're uploading things. I've been talking to so many teachers, make sure that this isn't copyright protected. Make sure you're not going to get yourself in trouble. This was communication about both the Student Development Day and the Community Service Day. The large events that I've planned for our school, if communication is not there, it's definitely a problem and you're not going to go off the way you should. And then this is my CT building advisor. I am essentially the one who is the know-it-all when it comes to the CTE program. And so I am essentially that leader of being the one in charge of it. We just started a FACS one this past year. And so anything that has to do with CTE, I'm the one that we come to. And then finally, providing feedback for observations. On top of observing in the 3rd and 4th grade, I observed in the FACS class, and I observed in the small engines class and provided feedback for those teachers. And I think if I can observe and give feedback to my colleagues, I can do that too as a building leader. So that my time is up. Thank you for watching.